been making music ever since the crack boom. Country rap tunes.
Coming down.
Country rap tunes. Gotta have guitars and a lot of backbones. Come to the South once, I bet you'll be back soon.
Coming down.
Country rap tunes.
Coming down.
Country rap tunes.
You know what I'm saying? For real, man, you got to feel my young partner, Cory Mo.
What's up with it, man? Your boy Cory Mo back off in this thing one more time for another Country Rap Tunes podcast episode. We got a special guest in the building. I've been knowing this guy forever since I was 16 years old. We're going to let Kimbo Slice introduce who we got, man.
Oh, snap. We got one for y'all today. We got the king, the legend, the icon, the Southern God who put out his first demo tape, Underground King, and has remained the king since then. One half of the legendary iconic Southern group UGK that was delicious and nutritious, both good for you and good to you. The Port Arthur Prince, the Houston God. We got the man in the building, Cory Mo's big brother and my birthday twin.
Yeah.
Bun B.
Okay, then. Now we in now.
Okay, amazing intro, first of all. I do have to give some clarity. Cory's big brother's name is Mike. I would like to be referred to as an associate of Cory Mo. I just want to avoid any unnecessary litigation.
Oh, Lord.
I don't want to get mixed up in no kind of gangster shit that Cory got going on.
Here we go.
I'm a family man. I'm not out there like that, Cory.
We ain't even started yet, bro. And you already shooting me down.
I just don't want bill collectors all of a sudden calling my phone. Because you talking about you. Where's your brother, Cory?
My big brother Bernard.
No, man. I'm telling people my government.
Man, all you got to do is Google it, man. Come on, man. You all over Wikipedia.
Great Google it, Moogly.
Come on now. I want to fast forward just a little bit. When you and Pimp met, were y'all in high school or junior high? Or
we were in high school when we met. Yeah, I would have been a junior around that time. Pimp would have been a sophomore. Now, me and Mitch, I had known Mitch before. Mitch was my age. I had known Mitch, Big Mitch, for a year or two, who was Pimp's original partner. They were the first iteration of UGK. And then, we eventually got closer through Mitch. Mm-hmm. And Mitch ended up deciding to go and play football, so he wasn't involved with the UGK music projects. He decided he wanted to go play football. And I had another dude that I was in a group with, Jalon, and he was like, I want to get a scholarship like Mitch is. So him and Chad was the same age and the same year. Mitch and I was in the same year. And there was a lot of other people around us that really wanted to do music. We had a big squad of people, it was probably like 14 or 15 of us in this collective. But then like one by one, DJ DMD was also in that collective as well. But one by one, different people started to prioritize different things in their life at the time. People wanted to go to college. People wanted to go get jobs, and different things were happening and pulling people in different directions. And we kind of looked up, and the only people that really wanted to do this music thing was me, Pimp, and DJ Bird. And that's when you look at the first UGK album, that's who you see representing UGK. But, I mean, I'm not saying UGK was 14 or 15 people deep, but we were all part of a group of teenagers, trying to find their way into being a part of this hip-hop culture. One of the first people actually making hip-hop, like actually making beats and writing rhymes was Mr. Boomtown.
Oh, wow.
Music video director. He was like one of the first people to actually rap and make rap music in Port Arthur, but he ended up having a football scholarship as well. So he went off to play football. He ended up having a knee injury, switched over to film, and the rest is history.
Shout out to Boomtown.
That was still is my OG, my big bro.
Well, wow. I had heard that that Rap-A-Lot tried to sign UGK at one point. Is that true?
Yeah, I was living in Houston at the time. I had moved to Houston. I was living in my homeboy in his house. I stayed in his bedroom while he was off at college. And Jay and a couple of people had driven down from Houston to Port Arthur to Mama West's house to try to sign UGK. And I think he came in a Ferrari, if I'm not mistaken. I think he came in a Ferrari.
He drove an hour and a half in a Ferrari.
Yeah. Yeah.
That boy Jay don't play.
And I think he offered him money. He offered him a Ferrari, and Chad was like, nah, because for one, we were already signed at the time.
Oh, yeah.
But then two, the way Pimp rationalized it, when we discussed it, he was like, why would we go over there to Rap A Lot and be number 5 or 6th in line? You know what I'm saying?
Next to Ghetto Boys.
Right. Ghetto Boys as a group, Convicts as a group, Big Mello, Scarface as a solo artist, Squad, all these other artists who were already on the roster. Whereas with us on our label, Big Time Records with Russell Washington, rest in peace, we were the only act. So we were the priority.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So why would we go to being way further down the ladder over here when we're the number 1 at the top of the ladder over here? So we didn't have a good reason to leave. But this was the days where having meetings with Jay Prince could be a little contentious, right? Like, not like people jamming people up or whatever, but, you got to really be firm in where you stand when you sit across real men in this world, right? Yeah. And, we were young kids. We were fresh out of high school. Chad was actually still in high school at the time. And, we're having meetings with men, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Men that order men around. So, when you decide to do this music thing, you never know exactly who you end up sitting across from. So you got to actually really want this and be built for this life, because it's not the easiest thing to do. Yeah, for sure.
I feel that. What you got, Kim?
So, because y'all were so young when all of this started, what was it like when you went on your first tour? Because now you're going from really being like a kid to like being in the world by yourself.
What do you mean, like the first UGK tour?
The first UGK tour.
And there hasn't been. There never was a UGK tour. UGK never went on tour.
Really?
UGK did shows.
Huh.
We did shows. Like, promoters would call, they book us, and then we go do the show, and then we go home. There was never an organized tour for UGK. You ain't never seen no flyer with UGK with 25, 30 cities. It was no, but you never seen no piece of me and Chad on a tour bus, have you? You never seen a UGK rap bus?
Now that I think about it.
No, there's never been a UGK tour. We were always independently booked and promoted. You know what I'm saying? By street promoters, by, people in the neighborhoods, D-boys, people who have been owning music venues for 25, 30 years, who had always been supporting artists through the Chitlin circuit since the earliest days of R&B and things like that. So we just kind of made music, and people called and wanted us to perform. They sent the first half. We went down there and got the second half and went home. But there was never any organized tour. Jive Records never took us on a promotional tour or anything.
Crazy.
We would get flown to certain cities, and you get in a van and drive around. So you fly you to Atlanta and, get in a van and drive you around. And luckily, Chaka Zulu was the guy driving us around in a van in his earliest days in the music industry. Wow. So he kind of was able to take us around and give us, insight and input into what the city was looking like. I remember when Lil Jon was doing Black Market Radio back in the day, college radio. I went over. I remember that was the first time we ever went to the Dungeon was with Chaka on promo out here on promo tour. I met Biggie Smalls out here on promo tour. Rest in peace, Rico, by the way.
Wow.
And
peace, Rico.
Then go to California, and somebody will drive you around California. You go to Eminem's, and first UGK performance was in Compton Community College.
What?
Like, there was no tour. There was no such thing as that, because they didn't really have any real belief in us. We had momentum in our region, and they tried to just piggyback off of that and see how far it would go. But Jive Records never really had any clear understanding of UGK or how to promote it, how to market it, and contractually we were so upside down in a contract, even with for example, with Tell Me Something Good, there's songs that we produced that they didn't want to clear the samples because of the cost. So in the contract, they actually had the right to reproduce music. So like 976 Bun B is not the beat I made. It's a different beat.
I remember you telling me
You know what I'm saying? So there's like 2 or 3 songs on the first album that were just completely reproduced. And we didn't even know until they sent us the hard copy of the album.
Right before the album dropped.
Yeah.
God.
But there's a lot of different things as we go through the UGK story.
Wow.
I mean, watching the Riding Dirty, commercial on Rap City, seeing it for the first time as it aired on TV.
Damn.
Like, never even knew they went and shot some commercial somewhere. And, of course, it got charged to my account. right? Something that I wasn't even in, it wasn't even knowledgeable about. But we can,
that's cold.
You know, we can tell those kind of stories all day.
So look, okay, so in '95, you ended up moving to Atlanta.
Yes.
Why did you move to Atlanta? What was that about?
We had a bitch ass manager at the time by the name of Byron Hill. And he was living here at the time, and I just wanted a different. I wanted a different experience. I just got like my first little check, and it wasn't like a back end check; it was an advance check. So UGK never got a royalty check from Jawbreakers. We're still technically $2 million in the red over there. But that gets into contractual accounting and that kind of thing, and recoupment, which none of it was in our favor. That's a whole other story. But yeah, I ended up moving out here in '95. I was out in like Dunwoody right after the 400 had just got constructed, and I was like, I got enough money to buy a car and an apartment anywhere. I was like, I'm gonna go do it in Atlanta and see what's up. You know, it was at the time the cost of living was pretty much the same. It was comparable. Yeah. I wasn't in a relationship. I didn't have any children or anything like that. So I just kind of upped and just went for it. And I had friends here. Big Gip was a real good friend of mine, and I would basically just get up every morning and go by his house and pick him up and ride around Atlanta. And you know, I used to hang out at Earwax. I used to hang out at Eric Summer Rim Shop. And just try to soak up the culture. I go out to Breed's house, go out to Dallas Austin's house when invited, different things like that, and just watching, you know, the Atlanta movement that we all know and love start to actually fully form. You know, with Outkast coming out first, I was around for a lot of the recording of the Goodie MOB's first album, and just being able to be aware of what the rest of the world didn't really know was actually forming and coming, because you would see Cool Breeze around, and you see Witch Doctor around, and Lil Will, and all these different people who are part of the Dungeon family, but also getting ready to create their own respective paths and legacies out here. It was wild to see.
That's a trip.
And that was literally after leaving Houston and watching the formation of Screwed Up Click, and then got out here.
So how long you stayed in Atlanta for? A couple years?
No. I stayed one calendar year. I got in. It was cool. As soon as my lease was up, I got the fuck on. I got back. Cause I was in Dunwoody, which was, you know, it was relatively safe. It was pretty isolated at the time, but it was just a lot trying to go into the city and doing. And you know, I'm one deep. I like to go do what I'm gonna do and then go back. And Atlanta's a very, I don't want to say cliquish kind of town, but it's definitely strength in numbers works out here. And I just didn't socialize like that at the time. I'd socialize different now, but I never felt comfortable just inserting myself in somebody's clique. Like the OG Short would look out for me, and they would do things, and I would go meet them out on the West End, and we'd all go out to the club and stuff like that. And you know, but I was just like hanging out in Doppler, you know, and hanging out in DARP and hanging out in Oakland studios. That's where I wanted to be. I wanted to watch people create, you know what I'm saying? That was a big thing for me, because I just write rhymes. I didn't make music, and, you know, I didn't mix records and all of that. So, and I had only really seen the process done the way we had done it. So watching other people, the hours they chose, the way they decided to put things together, things were different. And I just like watching that type of shit happen, and watching people eventually hear these records around the country and around the world and be like, damn, that shit is dope. I was like, yeah.
You know what?
I remember it was dope when I was in there.
You know what's a trip I thought about the other day, but the first time I was in the studio with you and Pimp together was at N.O. Joe's studio, and y'all was recording You Don't Know Me, Fool. You Don't Know Me. And man, I was tripping because I was such a fan, but you know, I'd be around y'all at Mama House or be around y'all somewhere, but to be in the studio with y'all was something totally different to see, man. And, you know, to see Pimp working, and, you know, to see you go in the booth and kill it and all of that, it was just a trip. And I always wanted to know, like, as far as whenever you was working on your very first solo album, tell people how hard it was to transition from being with UGK so much to finally doing your own solo.
Well, it was foreign to me, because I was never like a solo rapper. When I probably the first 3-4 months of me actually wanting to rap and write rhymes, I was probably solo, but I was in a group very early after that, and then transitioned from that group into what we know now as UGK. So I never really operated from a solo aspect.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But because of that, I never had to write the whole song. I did a couple of solo songs, but that wasn't a general practice of mine. I didn't make beats. Pimp would make the majority of the beats that you hear UGK rapping to. So I never had to worry about beats. I just show up for work. You know what I'm saying? And well, not the majority of the hooks. We kind of split on some of the hooks. But all of the beats, like I don't even say produced. I made 2 beats.
What?
I made 2 beats. Yeah, back in the day.
Kidding me?
No, I made what is that? I made the one with me and Infinity, Cramping My Style. I produced Camping My Style, and I produced Motherfucker Ain't Mine. But these are older records.
I'm gonna Google this shit.
Don't get started. Don't start that shit. But I mean, you know, I was just really trying to figure out how to do everything on my own. To be honest, I would go in and lay my verses, and Pimp would pretty much do the rest. You know, Pimp would produce the song. Pimp would mix the records. He would be there for the mastering. Pimp would figure out the order of the records, like the sequence of the records. I didn't have to be a part of any of that process because Pimp lived and breathed UGK. But when these projects became my solo project, I had to figure all of that stuff out. I had to be the guy in the studio for a 10-hour session, 10 hours, right? That kind of a thing.
I had to sit right next to you.
But it was something that had to be done, and I was determined to get it done. Because if I didn't, you know, there was a level of uncertainty about what UGK would be able to get back to if we did this wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it could be like, see, it was all Chad.
Right.
You know, now it ain't gonna ever be right. All of this kind of stuff. So it was more than just record sales and all that. We had the actual legacy of UGK on the line and the ability for him to actually come home to something when he did get out of prison.
Yeah.
You know, it was about making sure that, you know, he wouldn't have to have this huge adjustment back into society and back into the music industry and have to really start from scratch. But you know, we had good people in the room. You was around too, and it eventually, you know, it eventually became exactly what we needed it to be. You know, because everybody sacrificed to make that album. We all sacrificed.
So since you're a group person, who are some of your favorite rap groups, or are there any rap groups that like you grew up really being inspired by?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, first off, I think, you know, Run DMC. I think that kind of goes without saying. Those are, you know, DMC and Pimp C are the only 2 rappers you know that wear eyeglasses, but nobody ever made a joke. Like typically people call people 4 eyes. You ever heard somebody call Chad 4 eyes?
Hell no.
Like that's not the kind of joke you make with people like that. You know what I'm saying? And then there was always the idea of Run DMC and then Bun B, Pimp C. It was something that we didn't even realize early on. It was something we kind of figured out later. Of course, EPMD. And EPMD is kind of like an East Coast version of UGK. And when I say that, what I mean by that is that you could put Eric and Parrish in the studio, just those 2 people, and they can bring you back an album. You know what I'm saying? There's not a lot of groups that can do that. Outkast eventually became that kind of group where they could actually, if they wanted to, produce an entire project of music and present it. Mobb Deep operated in that manner where you just put Havoc and Prodigy, rest in peace Prodigy, in the studio, and those 2 people can bring you back an album. Those are very special combinations that don't exist very often in hip hop. And it was very inspirational for us to watch people like that and be like, man, you don't have to have all of that shit. You just, me and you, we can do it together. So it was very off-putting when I had to do it by myself. But it was really just about me understanding that the group was a priority, because we've had solo projects and we've done solo things, but nothing ever hits or feels or even sells in the way that the group does. So for me, it wasn't about doing a solo album to start a solo career. I did a solo album to try to keep the momentum perpetuated to get the group going back.
And you know what? Now that you say that, I remember in 2005, that was one of the years that you recorded over 80 features.
I don't believe that.
You did. I recorded every one.
I don't believe that.
I got every single one, bro. You had did the Free Pimp C movement was 2005. 06. You recorded so many features that I think I had to get some new hard drives. It was ridiculous.
And you didn't record all my rapping.
How you figure?
You just recorded the songs I recorded in Houston when other people didn't have time.
All I know is I got a whole bunch of Bun B verses, man,
and
from everybody.
And it was really it's a blur to kind of go back and look at all of that stuff. It was a blur because I had
did
tunnel
4-5
vision.
features a day.
I had tunnel vision. These things became bigger than me, right?
Yeah.
It was necessary. It wasn't about a yes or a no. These things had to be done. We had to get this message out.
Yeah.
We needed people to express how they felt, because I knew I wasn't the only person that was missing Pimp C, So I wanted us all to kind of be gathered in that. And it was a precursor to this. This was right after I just watched like 50 and them do the Free Yayo movement.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And to the point where they had Eminem on MTV wearing a Free Yayo shirt. So I was like, man, if we could do that and have different rappers in the South wearing Free Pimp C shirts and saying Free Pimp C on songs.
Man.
So I just really ran with that movement. And luckily for me, it was right. The timing couldn't have been better because it was right when that Houston Screwed Up Click, Swisher House sound broke nationally. And all of those people were either friends of ours or fans of ours. So they all jumped in the whole Free Pimp C movement. And then as they got more and more famous, they would give me their platforms. Like Paul brought me on Jimmy Kimmel and Slim brought me on the Tyra Banks show. And I got to wear Free Pimp C and say Free Pimp C and all of these songs. So it was just a perpetuation of this momentum of everybody wanting to free Pimp C so that when he came back home, all we had to do was get right back to the music. And he was trying to go to the studio the day he got out. And I was like, no, man, go home, relax, eat some food, get some sleep, see your kids. And then what happened? We went the next day.
Yep.
And
did get those.
Yeah. No,
what was that?
No, the verse we already had his verse for Get Though, if I'm not tripping. I think one of the first songs we did was Here We Go Again.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Which is crazy because it didn't come out until the next album.
That's a trip.
But we were so adamant about doing that because Ronald Isley was dealing with tax issues at the time. And this was like, we had $1 million budget for this album.
Man.
And Ronald Isley is such a huge part of UGK's, musical legacy. I mean, our first record is Summer Breeze. One of our most prominent records is One Day. You know what I'm saying? So you can look through UGK's legacy and see Ronald Isley Brothers all throughout it. So, and they had given us so much, and it was like, yo, we want to hook, or we gonna overpay him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We don't care what we gonna overpay him because it ain't our money no way. We still in the red. I ain't getting no money back no way. So let's bleed this budget.
Yeah.
Let's bleed this budget. We was flying out to LA once every 2 weeks, and Pimp was in the studio, and me and Queenie would fly out and hang out for a couple of days, and it was a good time. We actually felt like a rap group. We actually felt like rappers.
Yeah.
Because that was the first time we actually were afforded everything that most people get as soon as they come in the game.
Yeah.
Like we had to fight, through so much shit, go to to hell and back, literally with Pimp, you know what I'm saying? And finally they was like, we apologize. Like we didn't understand. Y'all been trying to tell us all of this. And as soon as Chad got locked up and y'all couldn't make the music, here come everybody else out of Houston making all the shit that y'all been saying was what people would want to hear. But I have no regrets because we made history. Yeah. I have no regrets.
Now, how did y'all two meet? How did you get stuck with Cory?
I have no idea.
I don't know, man, but it's whoever did it use Gorilla Glue because I can't shake it. Cory was a younger brother of Mike. I don't know if y'all know Mike. Mike was a very close friend of Pimp's and mine at the time. And Mike had been navigating a couple of things. We had all been young. We'd all made mistakes. And Mike had been navigating some things. And we tried to make sure and walk him through it and make sure he was, made sound decisions that wouldn't affect him in the long term. And, having him around, he was just so grateful. And he came back around us. And whatever Chad needed at the time, Mike was willing to do. And at the time, Chad needed really a personal engineer. He needed help, he needed a studio base, and he needed people that could be available to him because creative spurts come at very random times. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's 10 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes it's 3:40 in the morning, right? And so if you don't know how to fully engineer, you need somebody that's committed to the process. I tell people all the time, I remember we used to go to Digital Services, a studio in Houston. We used to go there in like 1994. And if you wanted to use the A room in that studio, they had to call ZZ Top and get permission because they had the A room booked 24 hours a day for a year.
Whoa.
Are you kidding me?
And Dusty would come when he came.
Damn.
And then, but a lot of times it would be wide open. Now, here's a crazy story. One day he came while the room was booked just to see who was in there, and it was Cash Money. And he ended up sitting and talking with Manny Fresh, and Manny Fresh was showing him how digital drums were programming all these different things about music, and they actually have a really great relationship. And it was actually through watching different people record rap music in digital service, Dusty actually became one of the first proponents from rock about rap music actually being an art. He's like, it is an art, he says, in a way I could tell you it's an art because there's good rap and there's shitty rap. And that's how you differentiate art. Some of it's good, some of it's terrible. And if you can tell what's good from what's terrible, you understand the art. You know what I'm saying? So, but I mean, it's just, we've had so many crazy experiences, man, making this music and presenting this culture, man. And to have, been up and come all the way down and have to rebuild this thing and then bring it up even bigger than it was before. I mean, it's only God because it's so many times Pimp wanted to quit. I had to keep him, focused. And there were many times I wanted to quit and he had to keep me focused. And there were times where both of us were frustrated and other people, our wives, our mothers, our friends, our family had to keep our spirits up and keep us focused on what it was that they saw we were capable of doing and becoming. And, I like to believe that we lived up to people's expectations of us and actually achieved the level of success and admiration and that they believed that we could be. I wake up every day trying to make sure that the woman that looks to me every day is good with what she sees. I'm not always the best version of myself, but I'm trying to be better than I was before. And that's really all you can do in this world. And I feel like UGK did that. We wasn't always the best, but when we did come, we did it better than we did the last time you saw us, perpetually. Yeah.
So look, how did you and
the lady was talking.
Oh, she was? My bad. I ain't hear you, Kimbo.
Bun here today.
I ain't hear you,
glad
Kimbo.
Bun here today.
Golly, boy, I can't get. Go ahead, you got it.
It's called courtesy.
That I was gonna say, to me, y'all definitely did that because my favorite record is Pocket Full of Stones.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's my favorite record. Like, me and my sister Gigi used to ride around and play that record we used to rewind the tape over and over and over and over and over again. So UGK is definitely in my Mount Rushmore, my hip hop Mount Rushmore. Who's in yours?
Oh, wow. Got it. For me, you got to start with Face. I don't think any other artist has had more influence on me as a writer, as a creator. It's probably Scarface, and then after him, it's Rick Royal from the Royal Flush that really taught me how to really tap into my cultural references and things like that. It's like you read a lot of shit, you listen to a lot of music, you watch a lot of movies, you read a lot of books, tap into that type of shit, Obviously, Chad, I don't think anyone has really come through this rap game as talented as he is. He never, as much music as we did, I'm talking about hundreds of songs, individually and collectively with other people, I don't think we ever really saw the full formation of the talent that he had in him. We were leaning that way. When you look at records like Feeling You, which is his solo interpretation of the Maze song, where you can hear the singing and then the rapping, and he produced the track as well, and he's very comfortable in the zone, and it's a very unique flow. It's not really like a lot of other music that he's done, and there was always a level of evolution in UGK as we learned things, as we did things, as we grew as people, and we tried to bring that type of shit to the music. And you look at songs like Feeling You and songs like Swishes and Doja.
Man. Shout out to DJ Queenie in the building. Speaking of this, check it out. When did you meet Queen? And how long have y'all been married, man? How do you make it work for so long, man?
Queen, you want to answer that?
Come on in here, Queen. She like, hell no.
She's not doing all that. I met Queen at a mutual friend of ours. His name was Eddie, rest in peace. I had just gotten the final mixed and mastered copy of Riding Dirty, and I was like, yo, I got the album. It's finished. It's done. He was like, shit, come to the house. I'm asking people to come over. We can play to listen to it. And she was one of the people that came over, and one of my homeboys was trying to holler at her.
Of course.
And no disrespect, but I knew he didn't have the game to pull her at the time. I'm not saying he didn't have game. He just didn't have game to pull
That level.
her.
Yeah,
He wasn't like that. So I pulled her. Nah. We exchanged numbers, and then I sat around waiting for her to call. We both playing a game of who gonna call first. And she called me, and I invited them over we did Strawberries. We had a concert at this club in Louisiana called Strawberries, which was very, very popular at the time. But you didn't go on stage till like 3, 4 in the morning. And she and her friends came, and her friends were like, wanted to go on the stage. They're like, we finna go on the stage, girl. Come on, we don't go on the stage. And Queenie, as you can see, she's not a big people person in crowds or whatever. She was rather shy at the time in particular. And she was like, I'm not getting up on that stage. I'm not getting up. And as soon as the girls got up on the stage, Chad, of course, who are these bitches? Get these bitches off the stage.
Lord.
It was, and I'm like, oh my God. These girls drove all the way from Houston for this shit to get called bitches. So yeah, but it still worked out for me. It still worked out for me because technically she wasn't on the stage, so she didn't get called a bitch. And as usual, the first of many wise decisions made by Queenie in her dealings with me. And I mean, quite frankly, you know, after we got back home, she came and saw me in Port Arthur and hung out. And probably a week or two after that, she came to where I was staying in Houston and knocked on the door and was like, we together now, and left. Like, just literally just came and had a little henchman, a homegirl behind her. And she was like, just so you know, we together now. And
like that.
And we pretty much been together ever since. We were a couple for about 4 years after that. We got married on that 5th year. We've been married 21 years now. And I just try to lead by example because ain't nobody teach Cory nothing.
Oh, look, man, God, you see, every 5 minutes.
I'm just kidding. Cory had amazing. Cory had amazing.
Today is the best day ever.
Cory came from a great family. Cory ain't learned nothing. Let me rephrase that. His parents taught him well. He's not a sponge, folks.
Here we go.
He's not a sponge.
Here we go. You know what? A lot of people don't know that Queenie was the A&R for the Trill project we put out a couple years ago.
Queenie is the A&R of my life at this point, right? So anything I'm involved with, you're getting Queenie's input, you know, either literally or through me, right? Transitively. And it's a good thing because
got a good ear.
Yeah, she's got a good. Here's the thing: Queenie brings the fan perspective to the table with this music, right? Because we're artists, we're creators. We keep trying to do things a certain way. Hey, man, I got this loop. I want to try do this. All right, cool. I'm gonna rap like this on the song. And we make a song. And we think we can do some big shit and bring it to Queenie. Queenie like, did nobody dance to that? Why is she talking about that?
Yeah. You need to be talking about this.
And then it's really about subject matter, right? Like, what should we be making music about, right? Like, we're married, you got kids, I got grandkids. You're like, you can't be talking about you beating up folks and shoot folks and all that shit. We old now. You can't be doing all that stuff. So she really keeps us with the proper perspective and keeps us in very true alignment with the base. Because if we talk about the everyday things that we're going through, 9 times out of 10, it's things that they're going through too. Now, music should have some level of escapism. So, you know, we do have fun. We just party records and there's, you know, we create fantasy environments that we want to exist in. People do these things from time to time. You know, just why you watch a movie. You want to escape from the real world. You go in the movie theater, the doors close, the lights go down, and the world you live in is the world you're looking at on the screen. That's why you get scared of scary movies, because you know in your mind that nobody's dead, right? but you're in that world, in that moment. And so that's what we try to do with music. And when we do those things and we do try to take chances and give a little creative license to things and try to push the boundaries of some of this shit, Queenie's there to be like, yeah, no, it's a good record, but don't know about it. They don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
They don't want to hear that from you. Because, I mean, you got to think, like, I know almost everybody, right, that makes and creates rap music. So technically, I could go and get a feature from pretty much anybody that raps, like, right? But is that what people want to hear from me, right? Like, I could go get, for example, Lil Uzi Vert, right? I could find a way to get to Lil Uzi Vert and negotiate a feature. Probably wouldn't be what everybody else paid, or it might be reciprocal or anything like that. What I'm saying is I could figure out a way to secure that feature. Yeah. But is that what my fans and my base want to hear from Bun B? Probably not. Is that what Lil Uzi Vert's fan base want to hear from him? Probably not. So I'd be making a record just to prove I can make the record, but the record wouldn't really serve a fucking purpose. You know what I'm saying? So that's why
you got to be intentional.
I go the opposite route. I go lower down the totem pole, and that's how I end up with the Cory Mo of the world.
Man, cut, man.
But it's super easy to negotiate. It's super easy to record. It's low risk and high reward, right? Whereas with a Lil Uzi Vert, it would be high risk, low reward. I'm complimenting you, Cory. It's a backhanded compliment, but it's a compliment. Take it.
Dude, man. Golly. I don't know how to feel about that one, man.
Come on, man. You're on this question. Come on. Type of interview and it shows you the question. Send me right next to
Get out of my stuff, bro.
You right. My Jamaican food is getting cold, Cory. So
man.
we need to kick this
Well,
off.
Talk to me, Kim. Talk to
So
me.
UGK is a movie. The vibes, every time I listen to like UGK movies, I feel like I'm in like Pee Wee Straw or the Mac or JD's Revenge or something like that. What is, because you're such a connoisseur of art, of like movies and books and music and art and all of that stuff, what is your favorite movie? And what is your favorite movie? And then the second question, if you could make any movie in the world or tell the story of anybody in the world and make a movie about them, who would it be? Or what would the movie be?
That's a good question.
You see that? That's how a good question goes.
Oh, okay, is that how you do it?
Yeah, I'm a bun
My
today.
bad. Gotcha. Taking notes.
Favorite movie of all time. What movie can I watch over and over and not really ever get tired of? I don't want to be typical. I would probably say I probably have to go with Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction just really, I wasn't ready for it. I thought I was ready for it because I had seen Reservoir Dogs. And I'm going to tell a funny story. I'll tell a funny story for you, Cory Mo.
Let's do it.
I was dating a girl. She was the daughter of a preacher. Her name was Tasha. I've never seen this girl since. We went on a date to go see Pulp Fiction. How many people in here have seen the movie Pulp Fiction? Okay, so everybody's seen it. So the movie's going fine, right? The movie's going and all the violence, the shooting, all of that, the cursing, all of that. That's fine. Everything's good. We get to the pawn shop, right? Where they knock him out, they tie him up, and he's in the basement. And the gimp is in the box, right? And then they pull the gimp out, and they take Ving Rhames in the back, and then Bruce Willis beats up the gimp and is getting ready to leave. And the whole time you can hear the grunting, right? Because they're raping Ving Rhames in the back room.
Oh, that's horrible.
And I could see her getting uncomfortable in the moment. So when Bruce Willis is in the front trying to figure out the weapon, and he gets the samurai sword and starts walking to the door, she starts asking, "What are they doing in that room? What are they doing in that room?" Right? And she was dead serious. Like, what did? And I was just like, I didn't really know what to say. And then the door swung open, and the dude is raping Ving Rhames, and the girl got up and walked out. I never heard from her again.
Damn.
I never saw her again. And you know what? I stayed and finished the movie.
You stayed there.
I stayed and finished the movie. I've never told this story. I stayed and finished the movie. This was not cell phones. There wasn't no way to call her, no way. And she was my ride, so I had to find somebody to come and get me after the movie. But I stayed, and I'm glad I stayed because it was far and away the best movie I had ever seen. It was one of the best stories I could tell at the time. But I really wanted to start understanding how people made movies because of Pulp Fiction, because when they slammed the needle in her chest when she overdosed, I was just like, how do you cheat that? Like, how do you...
Yeah.
Like, even if it's a fake needle, he hit Uma Thurman in the fucking chest, like, pretty hard. Like, it just really opened up my mind to, like, you know what? It takes some shit to make a movie.
Yeah.
So then I went back and I saw they made Reservoir Dogs, and I was like, okay, because they made that for no money. Then I started watching a bunch of motherfuckers making movies for no money. I'm like, oh, shit. They making independent movies like we make independent albums. They just trying to figure this shit out, you know?
Yeah.
And, but yeah, and so... The second thing, if you can make a movie about someone,
or anything, just like a subject, or if you wanted to make a classic blaxploitation, they give you an unlimited budget. What do you make?
do I have the information to make the movie?
Yes.
Then I would want to make the movie of Jesus' best friend. I would want to make the movie of the person that was closest to Jesus the entire time.
Wow.
That's cold.
You about to start something.
Yeah.
Because just imagine imagine being Jesus' homeboy.
Man.
Man, did you see what this nigga did with the fish? That shit was wild. Before we had one fish, bro. We had one fish and one piece of bread, bro. We fed the whole fucking town, bro. This nigga's a fool, bro. I'm telling you, Jesus is a fool. But there's a movie that's kind of similar to it. I haven't seen it yet, but it's called
The Book of Clarence.
It's called The Book of Clarence, where a dude
so
was like
good.
seeing Jesus do what Jesus did, and was like, man, I need to be like that. Kind of like me when I saw Rakim doing Microphone Fiend, and I was like, I want to be cool like this motherfucker. Like, I want to walk in the room and my song start playing and the lights get dim and the spotlight hit me and I just start rapping and shit, which never happened. It's not how nightclubs work. But it was something to aspire to. Like, I felt like hip hop was cool, and the people that did hip hop the best were the coolest. In the social circle that I grew up in, the community, all that type of shit. That was the coolest thing you could do, because it was like a drug dealer that had the money and the cars, but then he had the music too. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it was just something that, man, I want to be cool like that one day, and I almost was, but then I started fucking with Cory Mo, and now I'll never be able
Keep shooting me
to be that cool ever, because I gotta admit I know him.
Don't listen to this guy.
And that just automatically just knocks you down a peg automatically.
Kim is loving this way too much. Will you stop it, man? Golly.
This is the best day ever.
This is horrible.
I don't know. Corey pretty
You're
cool.
welcome,
He just
you're
won a
welcome.
Grammy.
Hold up
pretty
now.
cool.
Hold up now. Hold on, wait. Blow the horn for that one. What you said, Kim? I did what?
You just won a Grammy.
Oh, hold up now. There it is.
I wasn't ready.
Church.
I wasn't ready for the day when Cory Mo reached a musical milestone before me. I had been preparing him.
Yeah.
I had been preparing him for this moment.
Shout out to Killer Mike. We did it.
Right? You raise your kids, but you're never really ready to see them leave the house. Because this is OG Cory Mo now. This is old. I remember probably about 5 years ago, we was out here, I forgot where we were, and somebody walked up to Cory Mo and said, "What's up, OG?" And I almost fell out. My knees went weak. I wasn't ready. I was like, this can't be the world we living in.
I got gray hairs now. I'm OG, man.
If you what am I? If you what the fuck am I, bro?
Man.
Great. Wait a minute. Now we the same age.
We're not
We
doing
know
all that
great
shit.
nothing.
Me and Queenie be arguing because some women, not her, but some women like to say they glam ma.
Oh,
They
what?
got glam kids and all that. Not her. She's very comfortable being granny. She's very comfortable in her skin.
Okay.
But she's also like, you can't judge people. They can be what they want to be. I'm like, man, glam ma. Who told you glam? You got to be glamorous. And all grandmothers, they don't operate in a glamorous space. There's a lot of moo-moos and bonnets
Bonnets everywhere.
in that space.
Isn't that glam?
But I digress. Yeah, I mean, Cory, I called Cory immediately when I realized they had won, and I was like, "Bitch ass nigga, you won a Grammy, bitch ass nigga, how you beat me to a Grammy?" But I couldn't have been more happy for Cory, because if you know his story and you see how hard he's worked to make his name himself, like he's had a lot of proximity to a lot of major artists. He's done some big things, some big records for some big people, but he's never really leaned on that. You know what I'm saying? He don't be out here like, well, you know, I did so-and-so woo-woo until now because the bitch got a Grammy. And now that's all you gonna hear about is down by law. But look, if you got a resume, you supposed to start that bitch with that. You know? And you didn't have a filler record either. Not that Michael had any filler records. But sometimes, you know, you got, this be real, you got motherfuckers that sit on the bench and get a ring. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
True.
You were an active participant,
Damn
Cory
right.
Mo. You actually set the tone.
You damn scared.
You and the late great Rico Wade set the tone of a Grammy-winning album, man. You got that, and I don't, and that's fucked up. I'm happy for you.
Shout out to
on the
CeeLo.
outside.
I'm done with you, man. See what I mean? I can't bring you around nobody, bro. I can't bring you around company. God. All right, so look, here it is.
Ditto.
Here it is. What's up with it, man? It's your boy Cory Mo. I need everybody to go and download the mobile app, Country Rap Tunes Radio. 24/7 non-stop Southern hip-hop. All your favorite throwbacks. It's available on Android and it's available on iPhone. Also, I need you to log on to countryraptunes.com, support a player. If y'all looking for that fly merch, you already know what it is. Also, you can get all your exclusive Country Rap Tunes podcasts there. Everything involving Country Rap Tunes. You know where to go. You know what to do. Holla at your boy. Chech.
Country rap tunes.
Go for it.
What was the feeling of you selling out the rodeo 3 times in a row? 3 years in a row? 50,000, 60,000?
No, we did 73,000 the
See?
first year.
Damn.
I didn't even know something like that was possible. Again, Queenie, the A&R.
Of course, shout out to DJ Queenie.
A&R the lineup because I was going to try to go super big out the door. And she kind of like, no, bring that shit down a little bit, bring it down, make it simple, keep it easy. Which was a great idea because it gave us room to grow.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It gave the show room to grow and progress. But let me tell you something. I've done some big things in my life. I've been on some big stages. I performed at Glastonbury with Dizzy Rascal, and I want to say it was about 125,000 people in the audience for that show. And it's almost like an ocean of people because you see people as far as you can see in front of you, as far as you can see your left, as far as you can see your right. It's people, right? But you're still the highest point in the space. When you do the rodeo, you on the 50-yard line, and you looking from the 100s all the way up to the 800s, and you're surrounded by people. So instead of just my normal 180 peripheral, I'm talking about you do 360 and you turn around in a circle and you see people all the way up.
That's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's got to be what it feels like when athletes line up at the Super Bowl. Because I said I've done big concerts, I've done stadiums, I've done arenas, but when it's your show, right? When it's your show and it's 73,000 people showed up to see what you talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like for me, it's overwhelming. And I understand, you know, Beyonce tells a story about there's Beyonce and then there's Sasha Fierce, right? Like there's Beyonce that sings the records, that's married to Jay-Z, that's a mother, a friend, a sister, a daughter, all these kind of things, right? But when it's time to go on stage, she becomes Sasha Fierce. I didn't really understand, like I kind of got it, but I didn't really understand it until this shit. You can't stand on a fucking stage in front of 73,000 people screaming your fucking name and shit like that. And as the average person really absorb that.
Yeah.
That shit, you'll get lost in the moment.
Yeah.
So when I do the rodeo, it's almost surreal because I'm there, but I have to detach. Because if you stop and really think about what the fuck you doing and where you doing and how many people is watching, don't get me wrong, there's moments when you know you just killed it and the sound go dead and it's just all the people screaming and you kind of sit there and soak it up like, yeah. Because that just means now you understand you have control of the space. But when you walk out, and for me at the rodeo, because I'll have 8 performers, 10, 12 performers. So I got 12 different motherfuckers getting their mind blown when they come out. And they're on the side, so they watch when the first person comes out. Yeah. And they see the screams and the reaction.
Boys ain't ready.
And it's like, man. And I know when I do this, I'm finna fuck it up because everybody's got that song for that room. So you sitting there, and then other people getting different things. We had Baby Bash and Frankie J at the first rodeo to represent the Latinas. And so they were there, but they didn't go on until about 25 minutes into the show. So the whole time, they just sitting there really watching it, taking it in. And Bash was like, bro, there's a lot of fucking Mexicans in there, bro. Frankie was like, I know. He's like, we need to speak Spanish. Like, we need to say something in Spanish when we came out. And they fucking walked out there, Orale Houston, and that bitch erupted. Like, we're all adjusting to it in the moment to figure out how to navigate it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because none of us, like this year, we had Drake, we had Nelly. Like, these are big names who have done huge shows where it's their show.
Yeah.
But that first year, none of us had ever done no shit like that. And it was doing it in Houston at the rodeo, which is the most Houston shit that ever existed, ever. Like this year we just did, it was the 92nd anniversary. You know what I'm saying? And to be a black man as a priority in that space, you know what I'm saying, it's foreign, but it's also right and it's necessary because we are just as much a part of the cowboy experience, which is the American experience in this country. And we're now able to not just be a part of it and represent it, but actually celebrate it and be celebrated within it. You know what I'm saying? That's really what it is. Now that we do the rodeo, like this year I can't even really say I was necessarily nervous because we've got everything down to a science. Like the first year, Queenie almost got there late, Kiki almost got there late because everybody, I'm going to go to the crib and then I'm going to come back and then you try to come back and you're trying to get in.
My God.
When we do the rodeo, it's 73,000 at the first year, 74 the second year, 75,000. That's inside the football stadium. But on the grounds, on the fairgrounds outside, it's like 115, 120,000 people. Everybody don't go in for the concert because it's a separate ticket. You got to buy a ticket to go to the concert and to see the competition. But you still got to fight for parking with 100-something thousand motherfuckers.
Man.
Just to get on the grounds.
So how
then once you get on the grounds, then it's like going into a football game because you got to go through that to get inside.
So who gave you the phone call to even do the rodeo, or did you and Red make that happen?
No,
or
you
did
can't make that. You can't make.
Okay,
I've been working with a man. Not to cut you off. I've been working with a man named Jason Kane, who was one of the musical coordinators and head of booking for the rodeo. And they had been trying to diversify the rodeo for a while, and make sure that all the different types of people that came to the rodeo felt they were being represented at the rodeo. So before it was all country western. Now they do a Black Heritage Night, they do a Latino Appreciation Night, they do K-pop, they do EDM, they do pop, they do all of these different representations of music. They'll do a throwback group like this year it was New Kids on the Block and like Jonas Brothers and shit like that. And this year was Jonas Brothers, I'm sorry. And I mean 74,000 people, like bananas.
Insane.
But it's a massive undertaking, and one year, we would always have a lunch at Papado's, very nondescript, very low key, just me, him, Queenie, and Red sitting at the table. And one day he was just like, I want to ask you this, because we'd ask about different groups and stuff because they were looking at Chance the Rapper that year and different stuff. And he was like, well, if we gave you a night at the rodeo, what would you do with it? And it just kind of went from there. And I was like, oh, man, I'm going to have this dude and that dude and all of that. And we get a plane and we'll fly them all down. And Queenie was like, that's too much. That's too much. You're trying to do
slow
too
it
much.
Down, bud. Slow it down.
Queenie was like, just do Houston because everybody live here. They can drive. We ain't got to fly nobody in. They can just drive in. And the rest is literally history, So
speaking of which, now, what did you think about the Cowboy Carter album?
I loved it. I love it because it's a Beyonce album. And
she's so Houston.
Well, it's not even that, right? Anything that Beyonce brings attention to, the world pays attention to. And because Beyonce, as a black woman, brought attention to black representation in the country western music space, now we have all of these amazing artists that are on different people's radar now.
Like Raina Roberts.
Absolutely.
And
Tanner Adele.
Yeah.
Different people like that, And it's beautiful because had a person like Beyonce not brought attention to the fact that, wow, you know what? She is the first black woman that trying to do this. She can't be the only one. And then you start being like, no, there's dozens of them actually that have been trying to break through for decades. Like this,
and she put them on the record. Like she put Tanner and Raina and all of them on the record.
It's amazing because now whenever someone reaches out to find talent that you haven't heard before, now you got to go back and do your homework and do your research.
Yeah.
You know, now there's always going to be pushback for these kind of things because it really just did not go with the status quo. And there are a lot of people who require certain things to exist in a certain way to perpetuate it the way they needed to be perpetuated. Beyonce is a curveball culturally to country western music because now you have to open up the doors. You have to make room. You have to take consideration for these things now. And now and it's there. And that's why you did see pushback from certain people like Beyonce ain't country. It don't matter Beyonce ain't country, man. Beyonce is Beyonce. She's really bigger than a genre.
Straight up.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Quite frankly, you know what I mean? She's an anomaly out here in this world. And it doesn't matter what form of music she chooses to do. If she does, she's going to do it well, and a lot of people are going to pay attention, and it's probably going to be successful. So if you want to be against it, that's fine. You know what I'm saying? If you want to be on the wrong side of history, that's up to you. I got no problem to do with that. You know what I'm saying? But I know that radio runs bigger than the DJ playing the music from 12 to 4. So these small-minded people that feel like they have a little bit of authority, you really just have an opinion. You don't run nothing. And if the powers that be send that playlist down and you gotta play that goddamn song, you gonna play that song. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Texas Hold'em is on the rotation. I need this record hit 8 times today. Play the record or go to the bathroom and let the assistant engineer hit the play button, motherfucker. But it's gonna happen. You know. And I'm just I'm happy for her for having the courage to step out there and do something like this and open herself up to criticism. You know, Beyonce is she's very solid in her stance and spirit, and her skin is tough as nails, so she ain't bothered by this shit. People, it's very strange, but there's always been people that are just contrary for contrary's sake. So as great an artist as Beyonce is, and how likable a person that she is, it's still somebody that's gonna hate just to be different. And that's just what I feel that's all about. So fuck them, you know. Put money on your head behind Beyonce. Quit playing with us, Houston. Quit playing with us.
Straight up.
No, and speaking of the ladies, sometimes the ladies get left out of the conversation.
Hey, ladies.
That's the lady. Who are some of your favorite, like, female artists, whether they're rappers or singers or whatever? Who are some of the...
Queen
You know,
Latifah.
she said birthday with us, too.
Queen, yep. Queen Latifah's a prototype. Yeah. Queen Latifah's a prototype because
That thing was lit, baby.
I mean, Queen Latifah is, one of the pillars of hip hop, right? She's an amazing rapper. She's an amazing singer. She's an amazing actress. She's produced projects. Her and Shakim have produced projects that have employed not just black actors and actresses, but producers, screenwriters, directors, all of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? She's a pillar of the hip-hop community as a representative, because whenever something's important and they need someone with true validity to speak and stand for something, Latifah is typically on that list of people that they go to. But I say all of that shit to say, like, Latifah is still about this shit. Like, we did the 50th anniversary performance with CBS and the Grammys in L.A., and I was there. Talib Kweli was there because he and I are working on some music right now. And he was talking to Light and Latifah. And he was like, yeah, me and Bun working on the album. We got some time after this. And he was like, oh, yeah, we're going to come through. We'll come through and check it out. And so I went to the studio. Like, I got there a little later. I thought it was, just whatever. He's like, man, you just missed Latifah and Light. Like, what do you mean? Like,
man.
Yeah, they came, they dropped some shit. When? Tonight? After the shit? So when they said they was coming up, they came right after. And it's like me and De La Soul's in there, and we're like, and they're playing, he's playing what they did. And it's like, it's not even, like, I don't want to give away anything, but like, she just kind of went in there like freestyle, rapping, and then freestyle singing. And then Light came in. Light, let me tell you something, don't fuck with MC Light. They still
Light.
about this shit. Like
Straight up.
Like the starting three, like Latifah, Light, and Moni, still about that life. Like actively out here wanting to rap. Moni Love, I'm sure Moni Love is maybe 2 or 3 years older than me. Got 8 times the energy of anybody in our age group. Like, she's still like a sprite. Like, she's just a little person that just kind of runs back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. She's so full of energy, so full of love, and so full of spirit. These people still inspire you. I felt bad. I was like, you're supposed to be there if Queen Latifah says she's going to come and rap at your session. You're supposed to. I thought people was going to go to dinner. go to the room, relax for a minute. And then, rap time, come back out about 12, 1 in the morning, some shit like that. I went back to the room. I took about a 30-minute nap, kind of bounced back or whatever. No, these people was on top of it. They got shit to do. Latifah's booked.
Straight up.
Latifah's booked. But yeah, Queen Latifah for me, always.
Did you bring me a burger? Yes or no?
You can get a burger tomorrow.
For real, no shit?
Yeah, we got the burgers here this weekend.
Oh, it's going down.
I'm coming with you, Corey. Pick me up.
Come on
America's
in,
Best
Kimbo. We're
Burger.
getting some burgers tomorrow.
No,
It's going down.
a good friend of mine that was in the clothing industry and a good friend of mine that was running the Houston Texans podcast but had gone into marketing and branding and promotions, approached me about being a partner with this product. I tried the product. I thought it was the shit. Came home and told Queen, I got a burger. It's the best burger in the world. She said, what's on it? I told her meat, cheese, pickles, onions, and Trill sauce. She said, so you got a hamburger, but ain't no lettuce on it and ain't no tomatoes on it. I said, don't need it. She's like, uh-huh. And it's onions on it and pickles. And you ate it because I don't like onions and pickles. I was like, yep. We gonna see. And to this day, I don't think anybody's eating more Trill Burgers than Queenie.
Damn. Shout out to DJ Queenie for killing all the Trill Burgers.
But it is America's best burger. It really is. And if we come to your city with it, please come and get it. You don't have to pay attention or take nobody you see eating it word for it. A lot of people think it's cap. That's cool. You can believe what you want. Eat that bitch. I promise you. You'll understand.
It is. You got any more questions, Kimbo Slice?
You know you got to ask him the question.
What's your favorite country rap tune? Mine is Woodwill, by the way. What is yours, Bun?
Mine is Space Age Pimpin'.
I don't even know if mine qualifies as a song. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. It's almost more of an intro or a skit. But sitting in the Harris County jail, spending all my little time. I'm telling you, that to me is the most quintessential moment of rap meets. Like that's Houston, right?
That is so cool.
That is Houston. That's the streets of Houston meets country of Houston meets Harris County Jail. That's Houston right there for you.
Straight up. All right, last question. What is your favorite cereal and favorite cartoon? Better yet, what cartoon did you watch while eating what cereal?
Raisin Bran, Thundercats.
Thundercats.
It's very easy. This is
The
very
only right answer. It's the only right answer.
It is.
Thundercats, baby.
I don't know what your childhood was, bro.
It was broken if you didn't watch Thundercats.
If you weren't able to go home after school and watch Thundercats, man, I don't know what your life was, bro. I'm sorry. I'm praying for you. I'm praying for you to work through the trauma.
Straight
because
up.
that you just didn't have a childhood, bro. If you my age in that group and you ain't watch Thundercats and G.I. Joe and shit like that, man, that mean you came home to a broken house.
Straight up. You missed out on
that
childhood.
means you came home to a broken house. And I pray for you. I pray that you done work through that trauma. Because there's no way a child growing up in the 80s should have been denied the Thundercats. It's just fucking wrong.
It's the answer everybody gives.
It's supposed to be.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
We need to do a movie. Thundercats movie.
I don't know why there ain't been a live action Thundercats
They're
yet.
working on it right now.
Though.
They're working on it right now, actually. They're working on the Thundercats movie. I
Come
don't
on
know.
with it.
I don't
They
know
better
what it's
be
going
right.
to be like. Look, I just watched Roadhouse, and I got issues with Roadhouse. So I just watched the Roadhouse remake. I don't want to get into it.
Well,
it's
look
not
here.
that it ain't a good movie, but it ain't the old movie, and I'm just an old motherfucker, so I'm stuck in my ways.
This right here is some footage of me and you on stage in 2010.
I just saw my wife. That's all I saw.
Ooh.
I see short hair Queenie in the back.
Queenie in
filming.
the back. Come on, look at this, Queenie.
That's my favorite Queenie, short hair Queenie. Everybody know.
Look at Queenie. 15 years ago. Full crowd.
Is this the show? This is the show where we was in the back with Pharoah Monch. Oh no, that was overseas. That wasn't this show.
I think that was Norway.
Yeah.
Let me see. I think this might be Norway.
I don't think this is Toronto. I think this is Norway.
It's probably Norway.
Because this one of them days, like it's like 9 o'clock or something. Look, you see right there, it's about to be 9 o'clock. No, it's about to be 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's about to be 11 o'clock at night, and it's dusk at best in this home.
Yeah, you ain't lying.
It's dusk at best.
Yeah, I think we in Norway.
Because, when you get to certain parts of the country at certain times of the year, the sun goes down a lot later and comes up a lot sooner. You go to some places where the sun literally doesn't go down for days, And there's other places where the sun doesn't come up for days. Because remember, we had that first show in the Netherlands where, like, we didn't go on till like 3 a.m. The sun was out when we went to the club. It went down from like 4 to like 5:30 and came right back up. So like
we couldn't even go to sleep.
All the hotels in the city have to have like blackout windows. And even a blackout window in a hotel ain't no blackout window. It's still cracks and shit. And so it was brutal.
Damn.
That's what the dude was trying to rap a little flip to you outside the...
How you remember all that shit, man?
It was my life. What the fuck?
God damn. I don't even remember half of that.
Who's supposed to remember your life if you don't, bro?
God damn.
Then you leave other motherfuckers to tell your story. That's the only reason I do a lot of these podcasts. You keep telling her, somebody need to know the story.
Shout out to y'all. Appreciate the love.
Best episode
Queenie
ever,
in the
Bun
building.
B.
You know how we do. Country Rap Tune Podcast. I'm going to holler at y'all.
Thank you, Kimberly.
You're welcome,
And whatever.
Kimbo
Corey.
Slice in the building. Let's go.
Corey ain't even the best producer in his family.
We've been making music ever since the crack boom. Country rap tunes.
Coming down.
Country rap tunes. Gotta have guitars and a lot of backbone. Come to the South once, I bet you'll be back soon.
Coming down.
Country rap tunes.
Coming down.
Country rap tunes.
You know what I'm saying? For real, man, you got to feel my young partner, Cory Mo.